New details on a deadly shooting in Wilkinsburg. Police arrested 3 suspects in the murder of 27-year-old Keiauna Davis. She was shot while she walked on Laketon Road this week. Police say a vehicle pulled up alongside her, and then 2 men got out, robbed her, and then shot her. Police arrested Keiauna Scott, Dane Taylor, and Leah Whitley.
Keiauna Davis was a vibrant 27-year-old mother who radiated warmth, love, and dedication to her 2 young daughters. Her world revolved around them, nurturing, guiding, and cherishing every moment. As a mother, Keiauna Davis was everything to her girls, a protector, a teacher, and a friend. But her life was tragically cut short, not by any natural cause, but by the envy of a jealous co-worker who, driven by malice, set her up in a way that would ultimately lead to her untimely death. Keiauna planned on what would be a joyous occasion, a celebration of her oldest daughter's birthday. Davis's family was instead forced to face an unimaginable heartbreak. Her daughter, expecting a day of laughter and fun, was left to grapple with the overwhelming reality of her mother's death. Instead of watching candles on her birthday cake flickering in the wind with her mom, she had to watch her mom being lowered into the ground, her heart shattered by a cruel twist of fate. The loss was unbearable, and the weight of that day would forever linger in her loved one's memories. Stay tuned for the full story and also bring important information to keep you safe as well. Keiauna Davis, 27 years old, a mother of 2, was working at a Dollar General store. Alongside Davis was her co-worker, Leah Alana Whitley, 21 years old, who was also a mother of 2. Davis and Whitley had a neutral relationship, being co-workers and both moms. They shared some commonalities. Davis had just received her tax return and shared that information with Whitley. Davis also mentioned that before the end of her shift, she was expecting her grandmother to drop off the funds, which amounted to $3,000. What Davis wasn't expecting was for Whitley to go as far as to set her up and have her robbed. Whitley contacted her friend, Dane James Taylor. She sent messages to Taylor, informing him of the money Davis had received. Taylor and Whitley both plotted to rob Davis of those funds. There was just one problem. Taylor didn't have a vehicle to carry out the plan. So Taylor contacted his friend Keiauna Scott. Scott had a vehicle, and Whitley and Taylor agreed to give him $800 of the money for his part in the robbery. Davis left work around 2:30 p.m. that day. She had been walking home along Laketon Road in Wilkinsburg when Scott and Taylor followed her in a Toyota Corolla as she walked east. Then they pulled in front of her, and Scott got out, pretending to fix something on the car. Taylor then jumped out of the car and chased Davis, struggling with her. After Taylor fired 2 shots, Davis was shot in the hip once by Taylor. Someone in the area called the cops. Davis had been transported to the hospital, but shortly after, she was pronounced deceased.
A man and a woman pleading guilty to their roles in a local woman's death.
Police say they were trying to steal this woman's tax return and ended up shooting and killing her. Brenda Waters is live with a look at the case now. Brenda.
Hi, Ken. A male and female, both in their 20s, pled to third-degree murder today and will spend decades in prison. Now, a third person involved in this robbery murder did not plead today. Keiauna Scott, he remains in jail. It was February of last year when the robbery and murder went down. It began at the Dollar General store where the victim, 27-year-old Keiauna Davis, worked. It was all over Davis's $3,000 tax return that her grandmother had brought to her in cash during her lunch break. Her co-worker, 22-year-old Leah Whitley, saw the money and set the plan in motion to get the cash for herself.
I essentially saved her life today because she was looking at life without the possibility of parole. She did get 20 to 50 years, so we're hopeful that she'll be out in her 40s.
Whitley sent a text to 22-year-old Dane Taylor, telling him about the money. Taylor, who had a gun, then gets a ride with Keiauna Scott, who is 24. Taylor sees Davis leaving work, follows her. There's a chase and a scuffle. Then shots fired in the 1700 block of Laketon Road. Davis is hit in the hip and later dies in the hospital. Attorney Frank Walker represents Taylor.
I think he understood what happened. He understood the consequences. He understood the possible sentence of life without parole for first degree or second degree. But coming to the conclusion that he had to plead guilty based on the facts, it pretty much speaks for itself.
Taylor pled guilty to third-degree murder and will serve 30 to 60 years in prison. The driver, Cajun Scott, remains in jail as he seeks representation.
The victim has two daughters, and the daughter mentioned something to the effect of when she saw her mother in the casket, she said, why do mean people kill my mom here?
Davis's daughters are now 7 and 4. Essentially, they lost their mother over $3,000. Reporting live downtown, Brenda Waters, KDKA News.
Davis had always been careful with her money, but this year was different. She had worked hard taking care of the two daughters she took joy in taking care of. When her tax return came through, she planned to throw one of her daughters a birthday party, which happened becoming shortly after she received her taxes. It felt like a small fortune to her petty thief co-worker, Whitley, whom easily looked at those funds as a life-changing amount, enough to go through a robbery, which would alter her life as well as the others involved. Davis made only one fatal mistake. She shared the news with the wrong person. It was a hard lesson learned too late. This betrayal cut deeper than the financial loss. Davis' story ended with a painful lesson, but it's one that can be avoided. Keeping your financial information private and being cautious about who you trust can help protect you from those who would use your money against you.
They took her tax refund and then took her life. Police say Keiauna Davis was murdered over money. Tonight, these 3 people are charged in her death. One of them was a co-worker, and now only on 4, we sat down with her family who can't believe that she's gone.
Hard worker. When I mean work, I mean this woman worked. Like she would miss meals to work.
Monty Wilson is the father of one of Keiauna Davis's 2 little girls, now without a mother. Keiauna's mother, Sheila Detweiler, now having with the death of her daughter.
She was full of life. She was fun. She was straightforward and honest.
This past Thursday afternoon, Keiauna left her job at Dollar General and was walking along Laketon Road in Wilkinsburg, carrying $3,000 from her tax income refund. Police say her co-worker, Leah Whitley, knew about the money and conspired with Dane Taylor and Cajun Scott to rob her. Taylor and Scott followed Keiauna in a car. As Taylor struggled to take the money from her, he shot her in the hip. Keiauna was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
She was doing exactly what she was supposed to be doing that day. She was working, walking home from work to do for her kids. She did not deserve this at all. Nothing about this she deserved.
Sheila lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she will now raise Keiauna's daughters, ages 6. Keiauna's daughters, ages 6 and 2.
You know, all I know is what I have to do immediately is bury my daughter. Charlotte, try to, explain to them in how I can that this is life now. How I can that this is life now. Because their life changed in an instant, and they're young, and they don't understand.
It's sad. We want everybody to continue to work hard for Keiauna. Flex for Keiauna.
Leah Whitley, Dane Taylor, and Cajun Scott are all charged with homicide, robbery, and conspiracy. They are set to have a preliminary hearing on March 9th.
Whitley pleaded guilty to third-degree murder, robbery, conspiracy, tampering with evidence, and criminal use of a phone. In exchange for the plea, she was sentenced by Allegheny County Judge Mark Tranquilli to 20 to 50 years in prison. Taylor pleaded guilty to third-degree murder, robbery, conspiracy, and a firearms violation, and was sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison by Tranquilli. The third person, Keiauna Scott, 25, of Turtle Creek, is awaiting trial on charges of homicide, robbery, conspiracy, and tampering with evidence. Taylor paid Scott $800 to drive the car used to tail Davis. Police said Davis was planning a birthday party for one of her daughters the day she was killed, stated by Davis's mother, Sheila Detweiler. Davis's daughters now live with their grandmother in Charlotte, North Carolina.
A man who murdered a woman in Wilkinsburg 3 years ago will spend the rest of his life in prison. A jury found Cajun Scott guilty of killing Keiauna Davis while she was walking along Laketown Road back in 2018. Police say Scott and another man shot Davis after learning she got a $3,000 tax refund. The two orchestrated a robbery of Davis, ambushing her outside a Dollar General where she worked.
Whitley and Taylor benefited the most, giving Scott only $800 of the $3,000. Both Whitley and Taylor pled guilty and received sentences ranging from 20 to 50 years. Scott, who was a driver, hoped for a shorter sentence, believing he might have better luck. However, he was mistaken. The jury deemed him just as guilty, and without a guilty plea, he was sentenced to life in prison. How to protect yourself. Keep financial details private. Avoid discussing the amount of your tax return or any windfall with friends, family, or acquaintances. The more people who know about it, the more vulnerable you become to theft or manipulation. Don't share your plans. While it might be tempting to share your plans for spending or investing your return, it's safer to keep these details to yourself. The fewer people know, the fewer opportunities there are for someone to take advantage of you. Secure your information. Be cautious about who has access to your personal and financial information. Use strong passwords. Enable two-factor authentication for your accounts, and make sure your personal documents are stored securely. Trust your instincts. If something feels off about a situation or a person's behavior, trust your gut. Take a step back, reassess, and remember that your finances are yours to protect. No one should pressure you into sharing your financial details. Report suspicious activity. If you suspect someone is trying to steal from you or manipulate you into revealing your financial information, report it immediately to the authorities. Better safe than sorry.